Ren Wang joins me now. He is Assistant Director General of Agriculture and Consumer Protection at the FAO. Welcome to the 8th Forum for the Future of Agriculture. And Mr. Wang, you have just been involved in the session this morning with Commissioner Hogan. What did you have to say to the forum this morning?
Well, first of all, I very much appreciate this opportunity. It's a really great privilege to be here, also from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And I was very much impressed by Commissioner Hogan's speech, which enlightened really what has been achieved in a short time after the reform of the CAP. And from FAO's perspective, we see quite a few very positive trends and constructive areas whereby a reformed CAP can not only help the healthy development of European agriculture in a way more towards sort of market-oriented and also looking at environmental sustainability, but also positive impacts on the developing world smallholding farmers. As I mentioned, for instance, in the way of reducing export subsidies to enable, let's say, more competitiveness, not only the European farmers, but also the developing country farmers. And also to help to reduce the price volatility of the world food market. I think those are the keys. I must mention that the message that I bring is a holistic approach that we must take to tackle the dimensions, the three dimensions of sustainability. That is very much featured in the new reformed CAP, but I find a lot of commonalities of what we in FAO has been emphasizing.
Critics will say that certainly in the reform of the CAP and the greening of the CAP, that measures have not gone far enough. What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, I think it takes time. Because as we heard today, sustainability is not a linear sort of a simple dimension issue. It involves integration of policies, enabling environments, technologies, innovations, many aspects. So it's going to take time. But I would say, yes, it may not have gone far enough, but the trend is right in our view. And if we continue our efforts, for instance, in strengthening, let's say, the policies which would enable investment, not only by the public sector, but particularly by the private sector. And we always have to keep in mind that 80% of the investment in agriculture is by farmers themselves. So you really have to bring that dimension into account. Thank you.
How do then the UN's Sustainable Development Goals feed into the kind of issues that we're debating here today and that you're talking about? They reinforce a lot of the sentiment that's there, but are they actionable? Are they measurable? Do they build in the correct way from the Millennium Development Goals, in your view?
Well, we have just heard from the Special Advisor to the UN on post-2015 agenda. Well, in our view, we very much agree, actually, with the Special Advisor that the SDG is a more holistic approach compared with the previous Millennium Development Goals. And we must really act together to bring efforts of multi-stakeholders, politicians, governments, private sector, farmers, and so on, and international organizations, towards achieving a set of goals that not only addresses the key issues such as eradicating poverty and reducing or eradication, let's say, malnutrition and hunger, but also education, social dimensions, and so on. So it is a more comprehensive set of goals. From FAO's point of view, we have, in 2 years ago, we reconsolidated our goals, our own objectives, from a set of 11 to 5 goals, but focusing on the same issues. Okay, so in that sense, that we are optimistic, let's say, towards the development and agreement by all nations towards a set of new SDGs. But of course, whether or not it's measurable, largely depending on the commitment, the political will, and also where the negotiations will go eventually. That we
and there has been some debate about 17 being a lot. You talk about consolidating yours. One theme that runs through all of this about eradicating poverty, feeding the world and providing good nutrition is the idea of food waste and the eradication of that. I know that the FAO have a statistic that 32% of all food produced since 2009 has either been lost or wasted. And this really is something that we are debating today, because this is important, isn't it? Talking about a circular economy, talking about waste as a resource. This is a theme that strands across all of the concepts and the issues that you've mentioned.
Yes, it is a very important issue, and first of all, I'm very happy to say that in that aspect, FAO has very much aligned goals and approaches with the European Union. And as I mentioned today, we very much applaud the ambitious roadmap that the European Union has laid out in reducing food loss and waste. FAO is coordinating together with UNEP and the International Fund for Agricultural Development and the World Food Program and several other UN agencies in what we call Save Food Initiative. It's a UN-wide program. Now, it is a complex issue. For instance, it starts from differences in culture and the behaviors also, depending on where you are and which nation you are talking about. For instance, some part of the animal product in North America is considered not food, but in Asia it's very much a food, as we know. So culture context and also local conditions, as well as let's say industrial standards. Growers and manufacturers, they have their standards in packaging and so on, and that actually let's say improves the quality of food and increases profit. But on the other hand, it probably poses some barriers to smallholding farmers in developing countries, the suppliers, and that would create waste, for instance. So you need a multi-stakeholder approach, and we need to work together, changing people's behavior and calling the participation of the private sector and also the government and so on. So really need an approach and scientific research.
So a final word then, bringing all of those voices, the science, the politics, the economics and the farmers' views together. How important is a forum like this in discussing the future of agriculture and its role in eradicating poverty and feeding the world?
Exactly, yes. I think the key message is to work together towards the new Sustainable Development Goals.
Ren Wang, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the forum today.
Thank you.